How is the franchise kind of better positioned now than they were yesterday at this time?
Well, we signed a player, so I figure that's better than not having a player. So I figure that one's probably inarguably better. Tony is our highest draft pick, and pleased at him, and he'll be part of our group of young center backs that we're trying to develop, both here and on loan. So we're excited about that. In terms of the allocation flip and the acquisition of the international spot, I think the international spot kind of speaks for itself. It allows us to add another foreign player if we choose to do that. As I've talked about in a couple different places, there's a possibility for us now to add not just one player but two players if we decide ultimately that's the direction we want to go. And we have the money and the international spots and the roster spots to do that.
And what, either specifically for the Sounders or just in general, why might a team want more TAM and less GAM?
Wow. Anytime you can use it gets confusing, makes my head hurt. But look, the TAM can be used in fewer circumstances than GAM can, but TAM makes it a little bit easier to buy some of the more expensive players. So, again, we lost the DP, so we have a bunch of cap space anyway, and having a little bit more TAM makes us be able to afford maybe a second player that's worth a little bit more. But again, I'd even say that there are some scenarios under which you might even see us sign more than two, and maybe spread that TAM money and the GAM money out over more players. So, in general, we're not going to get fixated on one target or on one good outcome. We're going to look at how our team plays and how we develop and how healthy we are, how Brad Evans does, and we're going to try to make our team better. And I think one of the keys to making our team better long term is bringing in more good young players, as we've been trying to do.
You said after Martin's left that you guys were in no rush to fill his spot, and has anything appreciatively changed, having seen your team twice against Club America and once in MLS? Has that stance shifted in any way?
No, honestly. Look, we're working, and I don't want people out to think we're sitting on our laurels and admiring all the good work we did in the offseason and not trying to improve the team. But likewise, there's absolutely no reason to be reactive or panicked about who we're going to add. We think we have a very good team, and we think we played Club America pretty tightly. Which is one of the, arguably the best team we'll face all year. And I think it took some fairly extraordinary bad luck for us to lose to Kansas City. So we're going to a really tough place to play in Salt Lake. It's really difficult to play at altitude, especially early in the year. We're going to go out there and we're going to fight and we're going to compete. But regardless of the outcome, that's not going to change our timeline on when we go out and try to find the new guys either. We're just going to try to find some good players, and we're going to try to make our team better.
What are the pros and cons of signing someone, especially if they're DP, in the primary window versus waiting until the summer?
In the primary window, our primary window, meaning the one that's open from now through May, is that it's double the cap hit. So you can sign the same player a couple of weeks later, have him eligible July 4th when there'll be 18 games left to play, and he'd come in at half the cap hit. The other dynamic at play is because of the Euros and because of Copa America, some league seasons are ending in early May. Some are done before MLS, before the window closes. And so you could even get players that potentially you could sign and have eligible in May. And so you might choose, for example, to identify the players on a short-term basis, but wait to sign that player because he's free when his club is done playing their spring season. You could still get him in the May window, and even if you couldn't, you can probably get him in over the summer if he's not playing in the Euros or Copa America, such that he's able to have a preseason before he starts with us July 4th, which is when the summer window opens.
You said earlier this month that in a perfect world you wouldn't add another forward. In a perfect world, what would you add to how the team has been playing as a unit?
Yeah, I mean, we need to get collectively better, right? And I think we need to get a little bit more creative. I do think that Andreas has done a great job in terms of pushing the ball forward from that advanced position. I worry about what we look like if anything happens to Andreas. We got to have a little bit more variance in our attack. Clearly, Clint can pop underneath and he can create as well. But ideally, I want to get Clint around the box, and he's a goal scorer, and it's perfectly fine to have him involved in the build-up. But we need to get him near the goal sometimes too. And so I think that those types of players, attacking players, and broadly speaking, again, we have a lot of confidence in our defense. We have given the fewest goals in the league last year, and we feel like we got a bunch of veteran guys back there that we can handle this. And with the attacking guys, I think that's maybe where we need to add a little bit more ability, and that way we're not putting pressure on Nelson Valdez or Jordan Morris or Clint Dempsey to try to replace Oba like for like, goal for goal.
Year 2 for you. Do you feel any more confident in any way to sort of step in and put more of your stamp on the team? And does the Martins departure sort of give you maybe an opportunity to bring in a guy like that and put your stamp on the roster here?
I think you've talked to me enough, Matt. I'm less worried about me and much more worried about the organization. And, does it give you more opportunity to remake the team? It does. But hopefully that's in the organization's best interest. What I think it changes is it changes what was a pretty 2016 focus, like we got to try to win in this window before these guys get any older, to a little bit more long-term goal, which is not to say you're not trying to win in 2016. What I'm saying is it allows us to balance our roster from a salary cap perspective, from a position perspective, in a way that I think is more sustainable, which will hopefully ultimately give us a better chance to win in 16, but then a much better chance to win in the years beyond that, even if that player we bring in right now or those players we bring in right now might not individually be everything that Obafemi was, because he was a great player.
Nico mentioned in a perfect world, what would sort of be your wish list? Would that possibly be maybe a little bit younger than the organization has traditionally gone with DPs?
Yes. Yeah. We are going to look younger. We're not wedded to things. If we find an older player who's the best player out there at the best value, that's who we're going to sign. But again, if you're looking at a lineup where you have 8 or 9 guys that are 30 years old, that is not sustainable. And it's not a knock on any of those guys. They are some of our best players. We hope they stick around forever, but we have to hedge our bets a little bit, and we need some more variation in our attack. And look, when you put our best 11 on the floor right now, we're pretty solid. I don't see any holes. I don't look at and say, hey, we have to replace this person because they're not able to play at a high level. And in that sense, a young player can be better as well, because they can be a little bit more complementary. They can be part of a player rotation or a positional rotation of a group of guys around one spot or around one set of duties, like attacking and creating. And we talk all the time about, hey, what do we do when Copa America happens or we miss these guys on international duty? But for me, the larger challenge is it's a long season. It's a 10-month season. What happens when guys get banged up or guys miss a week here and there? Who can you plug and play? Who can you build in? Does that player look like the guy in front of them? So that you don't have to change how you play when you change who you play. And I think we have the ability to get better on that as well.
Not fully by design, some by injury and so forth, but you got younger and more athletic a lot on opening day. Is that useful in helping you decide whether these are just bodies you can pop in or actually guys who might fit into your, what do you call it, your ascension plan, your whatever it is?
Progressions, yeah. Which is progression. Sorry if I sounded pedantic with that. All I mean is we have depth charts that go down 4 or 5 players across a couple of age levels and stuff. Look, I thought O'Neal Fisher was good. Thought the red card was a correct decision, but it's a young player that'll learn from that. I thought he was good up to that point. I thought Jovan Jones was good. I thought Jordan Morris was good. He misses the one chance, but man, he's going to be just fine. He's going to get a lot more of those chances. And again, if you look at Christian Roldan and his start, I thought he was solid. So when you talk about 4 guys, vis-a-vis the Dallas playoff game in November 4 months ago, whether those guys start every week or not, I think we've made some progress. I mean, all of those guys are going to be good pros, and maybe some of them will be all-stars even. But, that's the direction we want to head. And to be clear, we got to have balance. No one's suggesting we go out and sign 15 guys under 23 because they're younger. It's just with where our group is right now, we do need to supplement some of the older guys with some younger guys if we want to have the energy and the balance to get through a long season and still have those guys fresh enough at the end to compete. Because at the end of the day, what we're trying to do is win MLS Cup, and that means you got to be playing your best in October, November, December, and you got to be healthy enough and fresh enough to get there.